Hey, what's up, creators? This is your old buddy John, and you have once again located the Sketch Podcast. I am here, as always, with Bob Hickey, publisher of Sketch Magazine, and Bill Nichols, editor of Sketch Magazine. And before I say anything else, I want to congratulate my colleagues on the fact that we have hit 5,000 individual downloads for this podcast. Now, if you're not familiar with podcast numbers, 5,000, especially for a new podcast, is a pretty big deal.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
it
it
is.
is.
So I have to before we do anything else, give a virtual clap to my colleagues here for achieving such an amazing feat in such a short amount of time.
Well, and to you too, John. You're part
Well,
of it.
Yep.
well, thank you very much.
Yes.
I'm just the one that says, okay, here's what we're talking about, and I'll let you guys go for an hour. Uh, and speaking of what we're talking about, tonight we are talking about trading cards and sketch cards. Now, two very distinct and different things. And trading cards are making a big resurgence lately. They're not a brand new thing, though. Trading cards have actually been around for a while, but they're starting to become a new way of advertising your product. So let's get into that.
Hold
Go for
on.
it, Paul.
My cough drop stuck. All right. Um, I've recently gotten back into this is Bob, by the way. I recently got back into doing conventions here recent, and I did Columbus, Mid Ohio Con, and I was seeing a lot of trading cards sitting around on tables of different creators. I know years ago, you guys remember there was the Marvel trading cards, the X-Men trading card sets, and all those. I know some of
Yeah,
them still dribble out a little bit,
yeah,
but most of these were custom cards made to sell either on the artist's site and mostly at shows. They sell, buck, $2, $3 a piece. Seeing that, I'm like, well, that's cool. I had some Blood and Roses cards sitting there that I'd done, what, Bill, 15 years ago?
Yeah.
And they were a set. So I busted them out, threw them on some little top loaders, just for the heck of it. Sit out there at the Claysway stuff. I'd be darned if I didn't sell 30 of those cards. And most of those characters, people didn't even know who they were. They wanted
nice.
it for the autograph. They met me. I signed them. It's a cheap little collectible. So there is a market for these cheap little autograph collectible out there. And this was just at Mid Ohio Con. And I rate Mid Ohio Con at a below mid show. And my wife got drunk and everything, but it's not a Chicago, it's not a San Diego. So I'm really interested in the larger shows. And having a more variety of cards, what you could actually do, what you could actually sell. So yeah, it was pretty neat.
And we should probably clarify what the difference is between, say, a trading card and a sketch card.
A trading card would be a printed card, full color, black and white, gray, whatever. And you have duplicates of that card. So you get 250, 500, or 1,000 of that card done up. A sketch card would start off as a blank card with or without a border. You would actually do a sketch, whether you would do the sketch before a show or during the show, or do custom sketch. So that's sort of the difference. A trading card you're going to pick up from $1 to $3. A sketch card you're going to pay, I would hope, at least $10 or more, because there's a lot of work that goes into even a little card. It's actually a small piece of original artwork, so there's still a lot of work that goes into it. What do you think, Bill?
Sorry, I'm trying not to sneeze.
Yep. Bill's got a cold and I've got a sore throat, so you guys got to tough it out.
Uh, yeah, I remember all the days of those trading cards, those Blood and Roses trading cards. I was actually just looking at mine yesterday because I was flipping over on the back reading the character information.
Mm.
Because it was like a mini Bible almost.
Uh-oh.
And I mean, on my wall, I have that uncut sheet of Blood and Roses cards that you gave me
Right.
way back in the day. So, um, and I still have different trading cards that I've accumulated over the years from this table or that table or whatever, or this artist that I know. And I mean, I remember the days of baseball cards and all those things too, when because my brother was really into it, and I was earlier, but comics really were the deal for me.
Mm-hmm.
So trading cards and comics were kind of a synthesis of those two things for me, and to me they were cool because they're handy. They're I don't know. Sometimes it's depending on the artist. It's just a quick representation of and something. I have a Kurt Swan. Here we go. There was an artist series of cards once upon a time. I think Eclipse maybe did it. And Kurt Swan, um, we Jerry Foley and I saw him in a bar at Chicago, and he gave each of us one of the cards. And the next day when I saw him, he signed the card. So
Cool.
I put that in a little frame, and that was just really cool. And then Jerry, you know, he didn't think to get his signed, and he saw mine. He's like, "Oh, that's such a cool idea. Why didn't I do that?" That's Chris Swan, because you know that, I mean, that's sort of my mentality. Sometimes something, if I like something, I collected it. If I like it, I read it.
Mm-hmm.
I may buy back in the day. Maybe if I really liked an issue of the X-Men, I may buy two, just because I liked it that much. I don't know why.
Oh, you
You know.
collector, you.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was at the time. It wasn't to resell later. That wasn't really. There was no venue for that
Right.
back in those days for me. Another thing was I would get if I had comics, I get them just signed just because they were mine. They weren't going anywhere, and it was just something extra cool for me for that issue, especially if it was somebody that I really liked. Um, so I mean, I still have some of those things in my collection and stuff. And my Man of Steel trade is John Byrne. So trading cards are a quick um, example of that, and for me that's just cool. Now, sketch cards you can sort of do the same thing, but really if it's somebody who's drawn it, their signature's already on it. I mean, I've seen people double sign, like maybe in silver the second time or something gold, the uh, metallic inks and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, they're both cool, but they're both different.
Right.
And I've seen different artists doing both and attempting both. One as promotion, another as maybe a source of income kind of thing. Uh, sort of like mini commissions.
Okay, let me throw this out. What's the difference? As a PR piece or as a collectible, what could you do to a card to make the difference between the two? What would you use a PR card for, and what would you do different as far as a collectible trading card?
Uh, well, I think if you were going to make one of those, you could take say you had a series of cards. So you got 250 cards of Blood and Roses or whatever, and you had a piece of art, and you could sign a number, limited. You could sign a number, a certain amount of them, and maybe if you inked it, somebody else penciled it. You both do it and make it in itself something a little extra.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if it's an artist who doesn't really get out to shows and stuff much. So if you had Mitch Bird, do something, because a lot of people don't see Mitch.
Right.
Uh, that would be instantly uh, to people who know who Mitch is or see his art. Takes it a step up the ladder as far as collectability.
Right.
If you can set it aside as part of something else, you can enhance the collectability of it and appeal to those people who do that. If it's a PR thing, if it's just going to be almost a business card in a way, like, hey, here's my card, here's my book, or here's my character, that we're doing a miniseries of, uh, then I mean, not to cheapen that in any way, that's just more of a tool.
Yeah, well, on the card, as far as design, a PR card would have, say, we do a new release of StormQuest. We would have the cover on the front, and then all the solicitation information on the back. Correct?
Yeah,
Where
yeah,
if we did a set, we would do more like character cards, and then more about character information or series information on the back, if you want it.
right,
Okay.
right.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if your goal is to use them for as a, say, a dealer or a retailer reminders,
Hmm.
or people to up their orders maybe at their local comic shops kind of thing, then yeah, you want that information on the back that is handy. It's right there. They don't have to go looking online or um, through Diamond's uh, the previews and stuff, that kind of thing. That's handy. That is a miniature um, representation of your work and your information, and it's all there. And it's almost a collectible business card in a way.
Right.
You know.
Another thing I noticed, that one that you and I don't feel good, and John's being quiet. So let's go, John. No,
No, I was letting
oh,
I
I
was
know.
letting you guys talk. I actually have a question.
Okay. One other thing while we're talking about differences. One thing I noticed at shows is that the free cards are just piled like business cards on the table, on the corners or something. When you have your collectible cards, to make them feel like they're more collectible, valuable, you slide them into those hard top loaders. They make top loaders, and that's like a hard plastic sleeve, the top open. You slide it down like you do baseball cards, and then you put those out. Those cost you maybe 10 cents, 15 cents a piece. So if you're selling this thing for $1 and you got 5, 10 cents invested in the card, you got 10 cents invested in top loader, you got 20 cents in this thing. You're selling it for $1, you just made 80 cents. That doesn't sound like a lot, but if you sell hundreds of these things, it starts adding up over time. So it's a good profit margin. So the presentation that shows, I know I could lay Blood and Roses cards out to spread them out, and nobody cared. But when I put them into the top loaders, it caught their eyes. Why are these presented this way? Why are these special? So there again, presentation that we keep talking about over and over in the shows is very vital on whether it's this trading cards. We're talking about trading cards right now. We'll have to step back into talking about sketch cards because
Yeah.
it's a whole different market.
Well, it's a matter of perceived value. And I was going to ask, what do you guys think of those sets of cards that you put them together and they become one image?
I love.
Yeah, I know I have tons of the old Marvel and DC cards that, from way back in the day.
I've got the Jim Lee set. Do you have that
Yeah,
one?
me too.
The X.
Yeah, I think so.
And it's a Danger Room. It's like
Yeah, I do have that one.
Oh man, that's too cool. In one of my previous stores, because the cards were hot, we would take those. They have like 2 card sets, 4 card sets.
Right.
Put them together and sell them that way. Mark them up 300 or 400%, but get more for them because we went ahead and put the card sets together.
Right.
Yeah, those are cool. I like that. Sort of tricky to do. You gotta be real creative, but it's pretty cool.
And what do you think of? Like I know we were talking about venting your characters onto the thing. What do you think about the cards that are done to advertise the artists themselves? I know a few times over the years I've seen kind of artist profile cards being put out for certain people. Do you need to be a name to do that, or can you kind of do that on your own?
I think anybody can use it if it's a business. Basically, you're talking like a business card, a portfolio / business card.
It kind of is, not necessarily a piece of their work, but maybe a caricature of them or a picture of them, of the artist themselves on the card, and maybe a short bio on the back.
No, I don't.
Kind of like an artist statement or something like that.
Now, is that something you would give away more than sell, correct?
Could be, yeah,
Yeah.
probably, or it be part of a
Overall
set.
set.
Yeah,
No,
probably.
I don't see a problem at all with that. No. Do you, Bill?
No, not at all. I mean, that's um, I, if you can, especially if you can do something clever with it. I mean, that could draw attention to yours, or redraw attention later on if you've given it to someone at a show and they look at it, and it catches their eye again, maybe, um, and it sort of reinforces who you are or what you're about, or what your project is, kind of thing. So I think it's a good reminder. I mean, it doesn't matter what talent level you are. I mean, if you're up to snuff, then that's one thing. But I mean, you do have to be careful with it. If you're not ready and you do a card, your card could say, "Here I am, but I'm not ready."
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, you've got to be a little objective about it. But yeah, sure. I mean, if you're ready to go, go.
Right.
And you all were talking earlier about some of the stuff that would go on the back of the card. What would be maybe some pitfalls or some things that someone creating their own cards wouldn't want to put on the back of the card?
Dates. I have tons of Blood and Roses cards that date that the trade's coming out in 1995 or 1990, or guess what? Those cards ain't worth a darn at the moment.
Right.
Those are PR cards, so they did their purpose. Just happens that I still have thousands sitting around in a warehouse.
Yeah.
So if it's a collectible thing, you don't want to put a date on them. Be careful putting too much information on the back so the type is too small.
Right.
Keep it short, sweet, and get your point across. I guess another thing to think about is appropriate cards for appropriate conventions. Nudity is probably not a good thing.
Yeah, true.
That turns me off of anything, whether it's posters, prints, whatever, at a show that is, open to the public. Now, if you go to one of these model shows or something like that, rock and roll, do what you want, if that's appropriate there. But
Right.
if you're going to a standard comic show, no, it's not appropriate. Do not do cards of licensed characters. Do not print mass copies of Bart Simpson or Star Wars. That will get you in trouble
Right.
quick because you do not have a
Mhm.
license. Can you do a sketch card of them? Sure. That's a one piece of artwork, and it's still a huge gray area, but everybody does it. But as far as printing them, no. That will get you in trouble quick.
You're right, Bob.
Thank you. Thank you.
What a good point, Bob.
Woo! As I suck on the drop.
Yeah, you don't want
Reaching help.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to do something that's going to get you in trouble, legal trouble. There are people who will definitely, personally, on purpose, toe that line. Either for the sake of rebellion against the man,
Right.
Because I've seen people make mention of that.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, if you are, if you're if you see a Blood and Roses card, somebody selling Blood and Roses, that will kind of go against the grain.
Yep.
Your own personal project, and you see somebody else making money off the thing that you're trying to make money off of, so that you can continue to do the next one and the next one and all that. But I mean, you have to have some sense. I mean, there are people who just don't have a lick of sense, to be honest. I mean, we know them.
But none of
like
our listeners. None of our listeners.
No.
You all are geniuses.
No, this is for our listeners who may see people like that and go, you know what? They said on the Sketch Magazine podcast that you really should. Really? Well, I'm going to go on there and I'm going to spam them. Really? You're going to? But
that's what the Sketch crew was talking about.
Yep,
that's
don't
right.
mess with us.
but I mean, you have to have some sense, and you're trying to create a reputation too, a professional reputation as a creator, as a company, or as a studio, um, as an individual in this industry, and you have to weigh that in there too. So even if it was something that was bordering on plagiarism or could possibly get you in trouble, there is such a people say any publicity is bad publicity, or not any publicity is good publicity, even bad publicity,
No.
and that's not necessarily true. That will brand you. We've talked about branding before, and uh, that will link you in people's minds in a negative way, and sometimes that makes you more unhireable possibly than you were before if you're trying to get your foot in that door, because you're swimming upstream along with hundreds and thousands of other people trying to get their foot in the door. Not to mix two totally different analogies there, but I mean you have to play it smart, be clever, think of clever ways to um, you know the from the cover image to the image that you want to portray as a professional artist or creator or writer or publisher or whatever. You want to go at it in a professional way from all angles, and that includes possibly stepping on toes or not stepping on toes legally and all that. So, like I said, you have to be smart, and if you see somebody else uh, on that road, then possibly be a mentor to them and say,
Ooh.
there's,
Um,
I mean, people. I mean, you've said on the podcast before, sorry for stepping on my comics mentor toes or whatever.
Yeah.
And other people in the emails and stuff have done it too, but it's like it's not just me. We're here to share information. We're here to share advice, and if other people have that same mentality, if everybody else looks out for everybody else, oh my God, what kind of industry would this be if everybody looked out for, and if you looked out for the other person, not worry about, egos so much, and, just get the stuff out there, and that includes sketch cards and trading cards and getting the work out there, getting it out where other people, because if people outside the industry look in and see a lot of infighting kind of thing, or, for example, that plagiarism thing we were just kind of talking about, that casts us in a negative light, and they're less apt to possibly pick up something that has something to do with comics. So it's not just about you; it's about other people too. So
we all represent this industry.
Right, and comics have come a long way in the last 10, 15 years.
Yes.
The last thing we need is to get knocked back down to the level we were at before, the whole disposable entertainment, kids entertainment, blah, 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 whatever you want to term it as. We definitely need to be doing everything we can to raise up the industry, not knock it down. There'll always be those idiots that we can't control, but
we don't want to control.
We don't want to control. We want them out of our industry.
We want to. You always want to put a positive spin on everything, and
right.
Even in your promotional materials and the trading cards. I'm going to gear it back towards the cards.
Yeah, and, actually.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say. I was going to bring up the question. Considering we're talking about two different kinds of cards here.
Yeah.
What do you think are the better images to use for each kind of card? What do you think operates better as a trading card, and maybe what operates better as a sketch card?
On a trading card, you can get away with cover image or anything because it's printed and it's at a high DPI, so the smaller figures still stand out. So you can reduce down pretty small and still tell what it is. Logo could be pretty small and still tell what it is. When you do a sketch card, you're using pencils and markers and colored pencils. So on that, it all bleeds a little bit. You can't help it. It's just paper. Anytime you touch a paper, it's going to soak up the ink. So you couldn't do fine detail. And you really don't want to. Well, some artists do these really intricate, crazy, detailed cards. But usually it's a much simpler figure, headshot, bust shot. I don't think full figures work very well as far as sketch cards. Um, you just want to keep it more open when you do a sketch card. A single figure usually, not two figures. Keep it clean, keep it open. Seems to be the nicer collectible piece. I know we talked about sketch cards in like trading card sets in the past, but that's something to discuss. Where you would find sketch cards, you have artists at shows doing sketch cards and selling them, and that's like getting your own original piece of artwork. Going up and say, hey, well, you saw Spider-Man. At that point, this artist can do that currently. It's a huge gray area. Does that artist have a license to do Spider-Man? No. He's drawing one fan piece of artwork. So he's not reproducing that card. He's not selling multiple copies of that card. He's producing one piece of artwork. So far, most of the licensors and publishers are turning a blind eye to this market, which is great because a lot of these artists depend on drawing these figures and drawing these characters, and it's almost like PR for these companies. Is Marvel going to slap everybody that draws Spider-Man on a sketch card when that means there's hundreds, if not thousands, of people with Spider-Man sketch cards in their possession promoting their character? Probably not. It may get a little bit more funky with Star Wars, but I still think it's pretty well open. If it's a one-off piece of artwork, in other words, you draw it, you sell that piece of original artwork, and that's it, then usually most licensors, publishers turn a blind eye to it, say, okay, fine. Okay. And then you got sketch cards that people do that card companies insert into sets, like Yuko and Joe Caroni, Bill, some of the other people out there who's done sketch cards for sets.
Oh, yeah.
That's a huge industry. These people come in, they draw anywhere from 10 to 50 to 100 to 200 cards, and it gets dropped into sets. Which brings me up to a set that we were going to have Darren Mueller come in and promote, and Darren decided to go shopping instead. So,
actually, he may be back.
We'll plug it here.
Yeah.
I've been talking to Darren. Darren's been over to the shop, and he's been showing me the design stuff. It's a really cool project. Has to do with trading cards. And he's got creators who's going to go in and buy, design, create, and purchase trading cards. And the creator, if I know correct, if this is correct,
yes,
gets 250 of the cards for a price. And then Comic Related gets 250 of the same card. Comic Related is going to take all the cards and build sets and sell them at shows or online to help fund Comic Related, because we all benefit from Comic Related. We all have benefited from it. Chuck's been great to all of us out there and continues to be great. And it's sort of the way I look at it is my way to give a little bit back to Chuck. I'm going to throw something else out there. I'm going to top it. Along with that, every creator out there that listens to podcasts, or Bill and you and John can post this on the boards, let's all contribute sketch cards, original piece of sketch cards, and Chuck can insert an actual piece of original artwork into all 250 of those sets. So now Chuck needs 250 pieces of original artwork, and I'll put myself in for 5.
There we go. All right.
So I will do 5.
I'll pass that along.
And I think this will make the sets even more collectible because you don't know whose cards you're going to get. It would be a mystery. I think that would be cool.
Yeah, it would.
And not every set's going to be identical now. Every set's going to have
Mm-hmm.
its own a little exclusive sketch card in it. So we'll have to get the Kamikaze guys involved in this. Um, I think it'll be cool. Darren and Jackie and over at Ringtail, John, you got to step up. Bill,
Yep.
and we'll Bill, you and I will team up on some cards,
There you go.
Sounds like a plan.
and I think that'd be cool. So you have to tell Darren.
I'll let them know right after the podcast is done.
Okay. So yeah, I mean that's a way you can jazz up stuff. I might even use that for the Blood and Roses cards that I got if I want to try and move sets. Do some original sketch cards along with the sets. We just happen to sell sketch cards at BlueLinePro.com. So
Mm-hmm.
give it a little plug. Also, a little plug out there while we're plugging, and make this our official ad section of the podcast. Blue Line is now offering full color printing. So we can actually print the trading cards for you. We don't have anything online yet. You need to call the Blue Line Pro office. It's 859-282-0096, I think. Or go to bluelinepro.com and get the number. Or email Mike at info@, and he can get you the rates. I know we were talking Friday. He's got the rate sheets together. He's ready to start promoting it. He wants me to design ads next week for the newsletter. So we're going to let people know that we can print trading cards, business cards, posters, all full color, and it's really affordable. So a little plug for Blue Line there, since they source sponsors. So done. So trading cards. How many is too many cards? How many? That's something I've been thinking about, because we're going to do some Clay's Way trading cards. And I noticed that shows a lot of people sold them like $3 a piece, $2 a piece if you bought 5. No, if you bought 5, now maybe it's $2 a piece, or if you buy 12, they were $10. Anyway, it broke down to about $1 a piece if you bought more. So how many original images do you need to really sell? I guess. What do you guys think?
Do you mean of trading cards or
Trading cards.
sketch cards?
Trading
Trading
cards.
cards.
Hmm?
Well, I would say anything less than. It'd be hard to call anything less than, say, 10
Mm-hmm.
a set.
Right.
Or I'd maybe even go down as far as 7 or 8, maybe 8 a
Mm-hmm.
set. It'd be hard to call anything less than that a set. At that point, it's just random cards. You can't. There has to be a specific limit to a set. So I think that's important. Another thing I was thinking while you were talking about the difference between sketch and trading cards, that at least in my opinion, with the trading cards, you really got to bring your A game to those cards.
Yes.
Every time. Those need to be the images that, if they were 20 times bigger, would be your poster image, and would be, something that would be hanging on a wall somewhere.
Right.
It needs to be that level of good. You can't do something sketchy on a trading card unless it's a specific sketch style trading card.
Right.
You can't. You really got to bring your A game to that. You can't just throw something half-assed out.
Right.
For that. So yeah, I definitely think that there should be a set limit. Now, you also don't want to throw out like 100. That's way too many.
I think over
I would say
time
50,
you can have.
Yeah. Oh
But
yeah, definitely.
I think 12 to 15 is a good starting point, because you can do the deal, the buy-in deal, 10 for 12 for $10 or 11 for $12.
Right.
Everybody likes to get something for free.
Yeah.
So
Or if you have that many characters, that works.
Right.
It really depends on your number of characters. You don't want to do tons of cards about one guy or one girl. One character. You need to have enough characters to support the number of cards you're putting out.
Right. Agreed. I agree. You do.
Because you can only do Spidey in so many poses, or
Oh.
insert hero here or villain here. You can only do so many things before it goes, oh my god, another one of that, please.
Right. Oh no, I agree. You do have to jazz it up, make it up. I think you also might have to do stuff outside of your property. Here again, bringing experience into it. The Blood and Roses set I had has 2 dinosaur cards, just because Brad Gorby draws really cool dinosaurs. It had a T-Rex and a Velociraptor, I think, on them.
That's cool.
The young kids didn't give a darn about those hot chicks on the cards. They thought the dinosaurs were cool. There's no licensing to dinosaurs. So, I mean, you could throw in some dinos or some spacemen or anything that's non-licensable along with your properties, and you might grab it for an eye, So it's to think about what you can do with it.
Yeah, there's nothing to say that a dinosaur can't just show up in your story somewhere,
Right.
And with Blood and Roses, they did.
And they did often, so.
Yeah.
Yes, they did.
Oh, and they still do.
Yeah,
that's right.
It helps if you have a time travel story, but
I never grew out of the dinosaurs, guys. I can't help it. I love dinosaurs.
Well, dinosaurs get cooler as they find out more stuff or figure out more stuff, and even from when we were kids, they're more cool now.
Oh yeah, I mean, when I was a kid, I had no clue what a Velociraptor was.
Oh no,
never had heard that particular dinosaur before. But thanks to Jurassic Park and the marching on of science, we know a lot of different types of dinosaurs now.
Right.
Because when I was a kid, I remember like 3.
Oh yeah.
The T-Rex, Stegosaurus, and the Brontosaurus. That was about it.
That was it. They were cool.
But they were cool, and even back then, I mean, as lame as it was, Land of the Lost, hey, dinosaurs walking around. That's cool. So you never do grow out of it.
Never.
Yeah, some people do.
Oh, Bill, did you grow out of it?
Bill is so over dinosaurs.
Oh, no.
You're so old.
I am so old, but, I mean, your tastes change, and I still think dinosaurs are cool, so. But I know, people lose that sense of wonder that you had as a child.
Yeah, I was thinking that same word.
And sometimes I'll use certain things or certain events or certain images or things that are magical moments.
Mm-hmm.
And they're magical pieces of art. There's magical things in our lives, and I think that if we veer away from that, if we lose that, then we do lose something of ourselves. And I don't think that equals being mature. I think that means possibly in some cases boring.
Yeah.
But I know people who do and who have, and that's fine. But if you're one of those people, then don't deny someone else that.
Right.
Or if you know somebody who draws comics or whatever, or somebody knows you who draw, because you're drawing comics, don't take that away. Don't let somebody steal your magic.
Right.
Yeah, when adding to what Bill says, I mean, the reason I have an English degree is because people tried to talk me out of the whole concept of being able to do anything with art.
Mm-hmm.
So don't let people do that to you. You really, if you love something, to hell with what someone else thinks.
Yep.
Who cares? If you love comic books, if you love polar bears, dinosaurs, whatever.
Panda bear.
Panda bears, Indiana Jones, whatever the hell you love. Love it, and don't worry about what other people think.
That's right. And John has cussed 3 times in this podcast.
I have.
And Bob hasn't cussed once.
That's right, but all mine are socially acceptable cuss words. You usually drop the F-bomb.
And that's true. And then I have to cut it out. But anyway, get back to cards. So, yeah, you can do stuff of your license stuff, but also there is tons and tons and tons of public domain, sort of like Holmes,
Frankenstein.
Yeah, tons and tons, Bob. Anyway, they're not hitting me, but anyway, research public domain stuff. You can do cards of that, and that might open up a whole different collectible market for you. Just whatever you're drawing, enjoy it, and make sure that's what that would be a customer base that if you had somebody come in and pick up a Sherlock Holmes card, do you have something else there they might be interested in? So, because if not, if you're doing all aliens and Martians and all of a sudden you have Sherlock Holmes cards, you might sell that card, but you're not really benefiting the rest of your properties by doing that. You follow me, or did I lose everybody?
No, I think that makes a lot of sense. You can use all these things, but it's always best to find a way to incorporate them into what else you're trying to do.
Right.
You can have Sherlock Holmes, but there's nothing to say that you can't have your character bumping into Sherlock Holmes or whatever else.
One thing I thought about is we got the Camelot Forever property we're working on, and there we had the Pendragon, King Arthur.
Mm-hmm.
Our wizard has a really cool, Merlin has a really cool dragon tattoo over his eyes. So I thought we could do a whole series of dragon cards, man. Incorporate the mystics and magic and stuff like that, and more than probably you've ever seen with the King Arthurian legend. Play it up a little bit. So, I'm thinking about doing, throwing in a few cool dragon cards in there. Everybody, you get people who love dragons.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, stuff like that. Stuff that will draw them over into your property. Use that. There again, the dinosaurs. I have 2 dinosaur cards. That was cool. Kids bought them, wanted me to sign them. They didn't care about the girl cards or the alien cards or anything else that was there. They thought dinosaurs were cool. Hey, that was all right. I handed them my Clay's Way information when they walked off. So I, sold a couple cards and handed out some info.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah, that's it. That's all we can do at a show. So, oh, guys, this is doing well. We probably go on about cards all night, but we got some other stuff to cover.
That is true.
I'm going to be in Atlanta next weekend, so anybody listening to this, I will be at the Wizards Show in Atlanta.
Actually, so will I and Chuck Moore.
You guys are going to Atlanta?
As of today.
Uh-huh.
We're going to Atlanta.
Okay. Cool.
We're just backpacking it. Yeah, Bill won't be there. But
come on, Bill.
Come on, it's only a 8-9 hour drive. Come on.
That's about 7 hours longer than I want to go.
That's about,
all right, 7.5.
That's about an 8-hour drive for me, so
yeah, something like that.
Not too bad. Cool. Hey, it's gonna be a party then.
Yep.
All right. What has been going on over at the site over at Comic Related, John?
Well, one of the things that people can check out over at the site is they can see visual images of the first 2. They're not exactly the first 2 cards in the set, but let's call them promos for the upcoming indie card series. Those can be found over in the forums, but there is a link on the front page of Comic Related, so go check that out. Would be good. And then, unless you had something else specific in mind, I'll move on to the sketch portion of our program. Over in sketch, and I should have a few things to tell you guys today, because I think it's been a while.
Yes, it has.
I have found an interview with TJ Krull, currently writing Green Arrow and the Teen Titans. And there's been a lot of changes, of course, that people have been keeping up with Green Arrow, with the whole Sherwood Forest in the middle of the city now and all that upheaval. And I think they've just changed teams on Titans again. So a gentleman caught him at the Long Beach Comic Convention from earlier this year, not too long ago, actually. So there's that interview, and it was nice to find one with a writer for once, because sadly we don't get a lot of videos from writers. Another one I found is from Marvel and DC artist Steve Scott talking about his process. Also, another one from a convention. Um, then one after that was a little bit of a departure. It's really not supposed to teach you anything, but it's more for you to just enjoy. I don't know how many people saw it earlier in the year, but DC Universe Online put out an absolutely stellar trailer.
Yeah.
Just this incredible trailer that when you saw it for the first time, your mouth was just wide open, with awe about how cool the trailer was. Well, I put that on there, and then I came across a shot-by-shot breakdown with Jim Lee and with the guy who is the director of the trailer.
Oh, cool.
They show little things that you may not have caught the first time because they were kind of small. They talked about the reasoning behind some of the different little things they did. So definitely worth checking out, and just incredibly cool. So it's not really there to we usually try to teach you something, but that one was just for funsies, and it was it was on Thanksgiving anyway, so everybody deserved a little treat. And then prior to that, I have drawing proper line art on a tablet. I say in my little writing blurb that using technology is kind of a double-edged sword.
Mm-hmm.
It can make the process easier, but it can also give some people the false sense of their own ability, and it in many ways allows people to become a little bit lazy with the fundamentals. And the fundamentals are really something that even the most seasoned artist still works on all the time if they're smart. So this tutorial helps you work out really just dealing with straight lines with the tablet, which I think is incredibly important because I've seen a lot of art come down the pike, especially from independent or newer artists that is kind of muddy, is kind of not up to the par where it really should be. I think everyone needs to practice all the time. So, but that's just the teacher in me talking again. Also, I found another artist. This one is half in English, half in Portuguese, but there is subtitles, so I'm making you read a little bit. But it's by Jerry Allen Quinlan, something like that. Thank you, sir. He's a very popular inker. He's inked a lot of really good stuff. My personal favorite being Superman Birthright. I really love the art in that book, and that he had something to do with it.
He's contributed to Sketch.
Yes, he has, as a matter of fact.
And he's a buddy of mine.
Well, there you go. So you should get an interview with this young man then, because he's very talented, and I really like what he has to say. Prior to that, I'm hitting up Freddie Williams again. He put out some new videos where he's doing a lot of Q&As about digital art and the impact of his book on digital art. And I still think it's kind of cool that he has that pop-up book sticking up in the background there, because I like that pop-up book. And then a quick tutorial on how to ink, just quick inking tips. YouTube has this little thing called the Expert Village. It's usually just this one artist named Danny Page doing pretty much everything, but it's a nice little refresher on basic inking skills, and it kind of goes back to what I was saying a second ago. about everyone needing to practice. And then I think with this one, this catches us up. Brian Hitch put out an Ultimate Comics Studio book. I happen to have one in my possession, but sadly, I have not had a chance to read it yet. But thankfully, he put out a few videos as well. They're kind of short, but there are several of them. So go check those out, talking about drawing, inking, and color, line work, distribution, all sorts of other stuff. And that, I believe, brings us back up to where I was with the Jeff Smith Festival talk. Which, if you haven't seen that yet, go watch it. Watch it as soon as you're done with this podcast. It's a half hour long, and it's worth every minute of it. So go check it out.
Check it out.
And that's it for me.
Bill, what's going on over at Comic Mentor?
Yet more encouraging posts. I know that people need encouragement, and that's a place to go, and sometimes you just need a kick in the butt, and so do I. So, as I've said before, anytime I post anything, I'm talking to myself first, and if anybody else benefits, then I'm glad, because some truths are universal, and sometimes we get caught up in the things that we want to do and don't have time to do, or we just lose sight of what we're trying to do. So I'll continue to keep posting things like that, or if we're doing podcast or things that are going on with us as a studio, Skystorm Studio, or the magazine, those things pop up. Or if I find something cool, I'll put something in there. But a lot of encouragement videos. And over on the comic related forum, we don't have anything going on yet. We will be having an inking contest, and Andy Smith gave me 3 pages that we can use, that we can post. So we just have to set that up, and I want to time that out a little bit. But that is coming up. That will be our next contest, and there's already interest, on several both on DeviantArt when I mentioned it, and on the comic related board and emails and stuff. So that's something to look forward to. And one of the threads that I've been following, and I think I mentioned it before, I think I mentioned it last week maybe, is Fred Lang's art thread. He's taken a script that I wrote, and he's working through it for his portfolio. And one of the things we're going to do with this is it's a tutorial, really. It's a process of taking something from the script to he's been running his thumbnails, his pencils. Page 1 he redid because he got some feedback and he just redrew it, and he has it in computer, so he can just redo it. That's an awesome thread, and I'm anxious to see what he continues to do, because he's just he just released last week that he did 2 pages of a fill-in, or he helped somebody for a Marvel book. I think it was Iron Fist or Hero for Hire, maybe. Comic related, awesome message board, forum, community. Go there. I mean, there's all kinds of things and people to check out, and it's just a great place to be. And you can find out things like about the trading card set that's coming up, and there's some cool ideas, and there's some cool people there. So head on over. So there you go.
I agree. Let's see. Blue Line's been running their Black Fridays, and of course we have Cyber Monday sale. Go check it out. Some great pricing and stuff. I've been working on, Bill and I have been talking about this, converting sketchmagazine.net over to a WordPress site, which I should be doing tutorials on and posting them, so that we can all contribute a little bit more to that site. And Clay's Way continues to chug along. Been posting 2 strips a week for 10 weeks now. Yeah. So we've done 20 strips. Our Thanksgiving strip came up. I'm in a process of putting more art and more personal stuff on the front blog, and moving the ADHD and dyslexia stuff over to the community, trying to get the community built up. Posted a bunch of links today. We're going to publish our first comic book next week, so we can have it for Atlanta. posted the cover to the first comic book online today. We're going to print it and have it for Atlanta. It'll be a collection of the first strips, sketches. I'm not too sure if Jackie and Darren's going to go. At one time they were, so if it is, then it'd be first time Jackie and I've done an appearance together. So yeah, we'll have that piece of merchandise for the site, and we're gonna have it up in the store here by the end of the week. So some cool stuff going on there. Skystorm's trudging along. We had a great meeting, all of us. Really worked out a lot of stuff. Anxious to get past this holiday and this show so we can really dive into some new things. So things will be happening real soon with it. So that's got me.
And Thanksgiving strip was very funny, by the way.
Thank you. It was one of those strips that I scripted. That was one of the strips that I scripted a totally different way. And then after I colored it, I looked at it and go, you know what? I could do a narrative over this and then didn't break into the narrative. I'm like, I've never written anything like that. I'm going to try it to see how it's picked up and who caught it and who didn't. And I think it came off pretty well.
Yeah, it was good.
My wife didn't realize that the comment about the chocolate chip cookies was referring to Pan's first appearance eating the chocolate chip cookies. So, we were trying to build some continuity there with that.
Continuity is a beautiful thing.
Just like we made a comment that Pam was originally Luke's, and we're going to play that up in future strips. So there's little tidbits of that, but you don't want to get bogged down in this kind of strip with continuity either. So,
right.
There's got to be certain enough, but the strip's a lot of fun. Thank you. I'm going to try to start throwing more. Jackie does sketches like crazy. We're going to start throwing up more of her sketches and more of the comic book stuff, and we're going to do some buttons and stuff. It's time to start merchandising a little bit, seeing what we can get people involved in. So, the hits on it continues to grow, and I appreciate it. We've gotten some other sites with ADHD. Totally ADD has wanted to do a write-up on us on their newsletter. So people are starting to recognize us, starting to see what we're doing. So it's a lot of fun. So, John, how can they find you, bud?
Well, they can always find me at sketchmagazine.net, John at sketchmagazine.net, or John at comicrelated.com. And if they are interested in becoming part of the indie card series, they can get in touch with me or any of the folks at Comic Related, and we will give you further details on that.
Cool. Bill?
comicsmentor@gmail.com, or on the Comic Related forum. I'm there. I'll usually check it out once, twice, 10 times a day. Especially with Fred's. Like I said, Fred's been sick, but he started posting some of his pencils and the thumbnails and stuff. So there's just cool stuff that and topics to talk about, whether it's movies, TV, whatever, and join up and feel free to chime in. It's a like I said, it's a community, so and you can find me there.
Cool. You can find me at bobh@bluelinepro.com, or you can email all three of us at podcast@sketchmagazine.net. Here again, please send us your questions. If you don't think we answered something right, or you want to add to it, you can go to the community and do that, or you can you can send us an email, and we can discuss it. So, guys, it's been a great one. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you.
Take care. Hope you guys feel better next week.
Yeah, we'll give it a shot. See you guys.
Bye.
Good night, everyone.